tell you, I don't have to tell you anything you already don't know. I finally found home, a bunch of constitutional liberty, freedom-loving people, and I want to thank you, because you are the beacons, and so thank you very much. You know, I'm not the only one leaving the party, though. Last weekend at a tea party, and thank God for the tea parties, they are educating people. There was an older couple after I spoke that came to our table. This man had tears in his eyes, and he said, after 50 years of being in the Republican Party, I am leaving to come to your party. 50 years, and this man had fought for our country. He felt betrayed, and I know many Americans are feeling betrayed. As a matter of fact, the day before, at another event in Central California, we made a dynamic couple. They shared their struggles. The husband works for the state of California, he's a state employee. And he shared his dismay. He said, Arnold, in the legislature, they belittle us state workers. They take our pay, they force us to take unpaid holidays. And he said, I've had enough. You know, state workers and Americans, we're living in the created mess of these greedy globalists and communists. It's unfair. So what are we going to do about it? I mean, we are living in very historic times. I mean, you know, I'm going to take a side step. It's kind of exciting in some ways. I mean, I'm a Christian, so I don't want to live in fear. It's kind of exciting to live in times that this must have been somewhat what it was like for our founding fathers. I mean, think about it. They had their communists. I mean, they had different labels, but they had their globalists, their communists. They had people who didn't have the same agenda that we do for freedom. Think about it. It's kind of exciting. But I know, I mean, the communists, they're in control. The globalists, they're in control. As a matter of fact, they're trying right now, working 24 hours a day to dismantle our freedoms. Schwarzenegger, for those of us who live in California, how about that bill that he signed that will make it very challenging for us to even buy just ammunition? Look, they want to take our Second Amendment away because you want to know something? Those people in Washington, they actually fear us. They fear us because we still have our Second Amendment. They can take that away from us, well, then they know that we're in control. But they're also trying to dismantle our freedom of speech. I don't know how many of you know this, and I don't know the outcome. I'm hoping one of you can tell me. On Thursday, the FCC, and we know that's now run by a mad lover, the FCC was going to vote on Obama's net neutrality. Neutrality? With communists, there's no neutrality. It's either their way or the highway. And we know that this is the direction that they're going in. How many of you remember the Homeland Security, and that's an oxymoron these days, but the Homeland Security report calling Christians, constitutionalists, third-party voters, extremists. If you love this country, you're now considered a right-wing extremist. I don't know. Czars. Isn't it the Obama administration that is appointing czars? Now, maybe in Russia, that is normal, but here in the United States of America, I'm sorry, that's extremist. You know, it was touched on a little bit earlier by our previous Joel. I'm so glad you mentioned the birth certificate, but I'm not going to go there too much. But the birth certificate, cap and trade, socialism, I mean, enough is enough is enough, and it's time for us to start doing something about it. You know, Martin Luther King, he had a dream. Well, today the new dream is this: that we can restore our nation back to a constitutional free republic. You know, and I'm going to say this too. I'm going off topic now. God bless America.
Yeah.
God bless America. Reverend Wright had it wrong, and I'm going to repeat this again so that you can hear it and get Reverend Wright out of your brains. God bless America. You know what? In the United States of America, we can still say God today. Yep. But we may not be able to say it tomorrow. And if you don't think that's true, guess again. I'm wearing these dog tags, and I'm wearing them for a reason. I was asked to speak at the Mojave Cross Memorial about a month ago. Now, if you don't know about the Mojave Cross Memorial, I'm going to tell you a little bit about it. The ACLU found some plaintiff up in Oregon who, if they drove to California in an area that's not very populated and went 15 miles off the freeway, and if they were driving like this, looking up at rocks, they might see a cross and they might be offended. That cross wasn't put there for any other reason but to serve our military veterans that had died for our country and for our freedoms. And now they want to take that down because you know what? They want God out of everything in our country. Well, these dog tags came from a kid, 19 years old, who had just come back from Iraq. He gave me his dog tags. And I wear that. I wear them proudly at every single event because I always want to be reminded why I'm running for office. And let me tell you something. Freedom is nothing that we can take for granted. I know all of you know that. You're all sitting here. But I want to repeat this. Freedom is something we can't take for granted, and that means each and every single one of us may have to pay a price for our future freedoms. How many of you want your children living in oppression? Do you want your children living in oppression? Do you want them to be in bondage? No. Well, if we continue in this direction, that's what's going to happen. You know, when I look at my dad as a veteran, when I think about the brave men and women who have died for our country, when I look at my 6-year-old child, I am ready. I am personally ready to take chances. I didn't want to run for office. It's way out of my comfort zone, and I'll be honest with you, not something I ever wanted to do. But we have to make sacrifices, people. Sitting here, that's commendable of you, but this is not sacrifice enough. And I'm just going to challenge you to ask yourselves, how much are you really doing to fight for the freedoms of our country? What are you doing? What else can you do? Step it up a notch. What may that mean? That may mean that you may have to run for office, or that you may have to run for office. It may mean that you have to go out and knock on doors to help other candidates who are running for office. And you know what? One day, it may even mean our own lives. That's a price I personally am willing to pay. That's up to each of you, but I'm never going to compromise my principles.